What's going on? What's going on? I'm Eugene Napoleon. This is Napoleon's Corner. Hope all is well. This is actually episode 235. And before I get started, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate your support. This particular episode and topic is your outcome. Your outcome. So this topic deals with a lot of I guess, personal goals and the things that you want to reach and some of the mindsets that I think you need to be in to actually reach those goals. Sometimes it's tough because when you are setting goals and you're thinking about your overall outcome and how you want to achieve certain things, sometimes the road is not always clear. You know, the peaks and valleys and the different things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis can pretty much determine what that outcome is going to be, right? So you have to think about certain things, you know, your perception of things that's going to drive your outcome. Your choices, your control drives your outcome. Your accountability drives your outcome. These are all things that, in the grand scheme of things, they really do affect your outcome, depending on how you deal with these things, depending on how you prioritize these things. They really do affect your outcome. Mindset has a lot to do with determines what your outcome is going to be. It's your mindset, the strength, the ability to stay strong and stand strong in the face of adversity, right? So that affects your outcome. If you're weak-minded, your outcome will be affected by that. So there's a few different ways to look at this, but this particular topic, I speak on it because we control our outcome to a larger extent, more so than we even think. And a lot of that deals with your mentality. A lot of that deals with how you, again, your perception on things, your perspective on things. All of this is driven by how you feel emotionally about certain things, which again will affect and impact your overall outcome. It's very important when you stop to think about it. So I'm going to give you just a few anecdotal pieces that I want you to kind of think about. System thinking. That's one. Own your mind. Own your mind. Own your attention span. That's another one. Own your attention span. Own your self-awareness. That's big. Own your self-awareness. Know your philosophy. That's a big one. Know what your philosophies are. You know, these are all things that are helping you. It's building towards a productive and positive outcome for yourself. System thinking is an interesting piece because once you start to understand in life, there's a system to everything. There's a system to everything. In system thinking, being able to break down, understand, conceptualize, thinking, I guess, thinking forward thinking. In other words, when things happen, don't get so bogged down by all of the little pieces, right? Really systematically break down a way to get to the ultimate goal. System thinking in a positive way, all right? So the comprehension of understanding that whatever that system is, you need to understand it, learn it, you know, comprehend it to move forward in a productive, positive way. Not in a way where you're going to be held, you know, in hostage because you don't understand what's going on around you. So that's where the whole self-awareness thing comes in. but systematically understanding that this works a certain way. So if I do this, this will unlock this. If I do this, this unlocks this, and so on and so forth. A systematic way of thinking, positive and productive, right? So that's important, and again, it's own. When I say own your mind, that means you don't get off track when something is going on and other people are telling you certain things and you're easily swayed. You have to own your own mind. You have to know, I'm focused on this. I'm laser focused. I'm detail orientated on this particular task. Own your own mind. No one can talk you out of or sway you into something that's going to be counterproductive to what your overall outcome is going to be. So that's what that means. Obviously, the attention span and owning it is pretty much, if you don't understand what your attention span is, that kind of hurts in a way in your overall output of what your outcome is going to be. Because I'll say it this way. And I know I speak to a lot of people because, again, what I teach in my classrooms, I have a lot of kids that have ADHD and ADD. So their attention span may not be as long, or they need to be as focused in terms of trying to get something done. They may have a 10-minute attention span, a 12-minute attention span, whatever that may be. The secret is understanding it and owning it. So once you understand what your attention span is, right, you can then start putting things together in that timeline, in that personal timeline. Let's say your attention span is, I don't know, for the sake of argument, 10 minutes. And your attention span is 10 minutes. You're owning that information because it's personal to you, because you know it. Maybe the person sitting to the left of you or the person sitting to the right of you don't know that, but you know it. So your job in that 10-minute span is to get as much systematic thinking in as possible, figuring out what works and what you need to do to comprehend this information in that 10-minute span, if that's your attention span, right? But you own that information. You know that information. These are things what I'm talking about in terms of the positive and productive outcome that you need in order to be successful to reach your overall goal. Now, that's as a young person. That doesn't mean your attention span cannot grow. You can't grow your attention span. Of course you can. That's the whole purpose of owning your attention span and knowing what your shortcomings are. That's something personal to you. It doesn't have to be broadcast to the world. So these are just little anecdotal things that you understand. And again, it's knowing your own philosophy. Being strong in knowing what your philosophies are in terms of knowing what you stand for, knowing what your principles are, knowing what you're going to abide by, knowing what you're going to do and what you're not going to do, knowing that somebody just can't sell you, a crock of crap and you're going to fall for it. What are your own personal philosophies? And you build on that, but you stay true to it, because all of that is going to help you be driven enough for a real positive outcome. At the end of the day, this is what this is all about. It's building towards a positive and productive outcome for you, depending on what goals you set for yourself. So that's what this particular episode was all about. Your outcome, not anybody else's, your dreams, your goals, your objectives, overall, your outcome. Don't be afraid to be successful. Set a goal, get to it, and make sure the outcome is what you want it to be. Your outcome, not anybody else's. It's what you want it to be, because at the end of the day, it's your goals, which will be your successes. I'm Eugene Napoleon. This is Napoleon's Corner. I'll see you next week. Take care.